You ever notice how just about every problem in your life is tied to different areas of your life? We tend to think so much one-dimensionally, like we've got a one-dimensional problem. Some people's problem might be, I don't make enough money. Other people's problem might be, my kids are driving me insane. Other people's problems might be that I'm fat. Everything, though, is connected. There is no such thing as a one-dimensional problem. There's always a multi-dimensional problem that's created by the first problem. So, for example, let's say that one of your problems is that you don't make enough money. Well, I bet that if I followed you around for a week, maybe 2 weeks, I would see that the stress of not making enough money will bleed into your relationships, and you'll show up as a different person in those. You'll have more struggle, more strife. And because of the stress in the relationships, you're probably not going to have the motivation and inspiration to go work out. And so you're probably going to be a little bit overweight over time, if not really overweight, because let's face it, it's easy to get overweight in the way that we live in the world today, especially here in the United States. But you've always got these multi-dimensional problems. Now, one of the crazy things that I recognized recently is that the solutions that you've used in one dimension of your life typically are solutions that will work in every other dimension as well. So here's a case in point, because by the way, there are 4 dimensions of your life: body, being, balance, business. A lot of what I talk about here on this show. But case in point for this, my wife and I right now are using a tactic that I developed to get better at sales with how to become better parents to our daughter. So we've got an 11-year-old daughter that is just extra. She is extra. She is bouncing off the walls, excited, so much energy all the time. And it's the exact opposite of us. So both of us, my wife and I, are very, like, we're early to bed people, early to rise people. And my daughter is like, where's the after party to this party? And then after that, where's the after party to the after party? She would go all night, regardless of anything. I mean, she's 11, but this is it. We were in the city in San Francisco on Friday night at a party for my aunt who turned 90. And it was at this cool place. And we were leaving about 9. And my daughter's sitting there going like, but there's 3 after parties people have been talking about right now. And her bedtime is normally about 7:45. So she could just go all night. Drives us insane, especially when we're with her in a confined space for that period of time, because there's about a 2.5-hour drive into the city, then we stay in the city, then we're walking around the city the next day, we're driving home. Every word out of her mouth is, can I, or would you let me, or I want. And so for us, it's driving us insane. And so we were talking about it at date night on Saturday when we got back from the city. And we were talking about how we feel like it's such a negative connotation, like a negative context, and this negative feeling surrounding how we're parenting our daughter. And we've got all this guilt and all this shame because we want to be like the right parents for her, which has a lot more patience than we currently have. And we're trying to figure out how to get better at that. We've gone to parenting coaches, we've tried to figure out a lot of stuff. But as we were talking about this, something just hit me. And it hit me based on a sales call that I had earlier in the week, and then some advice that I was giving to one of my consulting clients also in the past week. And it was this thing that I do after I have a sales call. So after every single sales call, I'm going to ask myself 3 specific questions. And this is all designed to spot my weaknesses, spot my strengths, but then ultimately coach myself towards getting a better result the next time. So the first question that I ask myself is, what went really well? Because no matter what, I find that there's always something that goes well. It could be the worst sales call ever. I could have a prospect that isn't talking. I could feel like I'm off my game. It could not be the right product market fit. It could be the wrong prospect. It could be any number of things. It could just be the biggest disaster of a sales call or feel like that. But I'm still always going to ask myself what went right in this call. Now, the reason for that is because it forces me to look for something that went right, even when it seems like everything is going wrong. Forcing yourself to do that is a critical piece because it's easy to get focused on the negativity and feel like the expanse of your experience was negative, when in reality, it was a very short period of time that was negative. A very small fraction of the total time that you spent was spent in negativity versus a lot of things that did go right. It's like if you have an argument with somebody and you feel like your day is ruined, but the argument only lasted 5 minutes. It's like that was just a little fraction of your day. So very similar when it comes to sales calls and as it relates to our daughter. So we started having these conversations at night. Now, granted, it's just been a couple days, but we've already seen a lot of progress out of it. We end our day with asking the very first question, which is, what went really well today? Then I move on to the second question, back to sales. What didn't go well? This is requiring me to acknowledge without guilt or shame just the things that didn't go well. Maybe I talked too much. Maybe I was trying to rush things. Maybe I was trying to find the solution. Maybe I was trying to consult for them on the call. Maybe, and this is what I found last week, I was giving way too much information on the call itself. And I was struggling in a transition from the first call to the second call, exactly how we were going to pull that off. And it's interesting because every single product has the same basic framework to sell it, but there's a nuance to each one about how you're going to fill in the little gaps. And so helping me understand that helped me figure out how to get a better result the next time I was on. So it's a lot more smooth, it's a lot more confident, and all this. But it helps you figure out, like, well, what exactly didn't go well? Acknowledging what you need to improve upon. We do the same thing with our daughter. We ask, what didn't go well today? How is it that we reacted in a way that we shouldn't have reacted? So for example, on Saturday when we got home, there was I'll just call it a bathroom incident because you don't need to know everything about it, but I was pissed at my daughter, like yelling at her. And I'm like, that didn't go well. I screwed that up. Okay. So then that leads to the third question, which is, what am I going to do about it? What am I going to do about it is critical because it's going to require you to think about how you must grow in order to elicit a better result than you had the last time you made an attempt. So in this case, it might be easy to think that it's always something negative that you say, what am I going to do about it with? But there's a lot of times when it can be a positive thing that you're going to want to accelerate. So in a sales call, it might be that your open was awesome, or it might be that you were really good at being quiet and just mirroring back to the prospect. Think about, what am I going to do about it? I'm going to put a sticky note on my computer that says, mirror back. Mirror back what the prospect is saying. That's accelerating something that was going well. Or what am I going to do about it to something that went wrong? How can I deal with this? So in the case of my daughter and me, like losing it and yelling at her on Saturday, what am I going to do about it next time? Well, what I'm going to do about it next time is I'm going to create physical distance between me and her when I start to feel that emotion. Either she's going to have to leave or I'm going to have to leave just for a few minutes, walk out of the room, walk out of the house, wherever we are, and just get some space on it and breathe. That's what I'm going to do about it next time. Now remind myself of this prior to the next thing that I'm doing. So I'll review my little jot notes from my last sales call, which is like, what went well, what didn't go well, and what am I going to do about it? I'll do the same thing with my daughter on a daily basis in the morning. I'll look at what happened the night before. It's like, okay, so what went well, what didn't go well, and what am I going to do about it? Because it reminds me of the important part, which is what I'm going to do about it. Because progress comes in these little incremental steps that for the most part nobody sees. There's no such thing as an overnight success. You probably know that, but if you don't know that, then there you go. There is no such thing as an overnight success. It is somebody that found the right thing. They finally got enough of these little incremental steps. Picture it like knocking over dominoes to where they knocked over the biggest domino that just knocked everything else down, and it looks like there's this instantaneous level of success. But reality of it is that there were all these incremental pieces that happen mostly on a daily basis, mostly through analysis of their performance and doing things just a little bit better than they did the day before. What do I want you to do about this? I want you to look at what you're struggling with in your life. And for a lot of people, that's business. People need to make more money. I love that. Full-on capitalist. Make more money. Please make more money. I want people to charge. Like when I'm buying something from somebody, I'm always like, I want you to charge what you're worth. I'll pay you what you're worth. I don't negotiate with people when I buy because I don't tolerate people negotiating with me on what I sell them. I want them to make money. I want you to make money. And if that's what you want, then look at this 3-question process and implement it into your business wherever you need to. That might be doing live videos. That might be doing sales conversations. That might be making marketing pieces. What went well? What didn't go well? What am I going to do about it? If this happens to you where your primary fight in your life is in your relationships, what went well? What didn't go well? And what am I going to do about it every single day? If your primary fight in your life is about your body, what went well? What didn't go well? What am I going to do about it? And you do that every single day. Make incremental steps. And I promise you, the days are going to stack up and you're going to make more progress than you ever believed possible for yourself. Oh, and if you liked the episode, please share it with somebody that you think needs to hear that message. They might be struggling at getting better with something and acknowledging that they actually want to get better versus you suggesting that they just get better, because it's going to help them too. If it has helped you at all, help somebody else by sharing the episode. All right, thanks guys. I'll see you in the next video.